Alright, so today is Saturday, so a bit of a midweek update. And I got the port light or porthole openings all cut in the boat. On the starboard side, there's one here in the aft cabin. There's two in the saloon. There's one up here in the forward cabin. And then moving around to the port side, we've got one here, and that's that oval one. A little bit different than the other ones, but I don't think it's going to look different enough that it's going to be that big a deal. But there's one up there in the forward head. Two more in the saloon. One here in the aft head, and then one in the aft cabin on the port side. So we've got a total of 9 portholes, and these are all opening portholes. So yeah, should be able to get a little bit of ventilation with them. Although, granted, you know, these port lights or portholes on the sides of the hull don't let a lot of air in, because generally your bow is going to be pointing into the wind. So, but we will have hatches on the deck, and you know, the big debate there on those hatches is which way do you open those. If you have them opening forward towards the bow, it makes kind of a scoop, so you're scooping air, moving air through the boat, but that's not good when you're at sea. Of course, you should have them closed when you're at sea anyway, so I probably will have them opening forward, just so when we're at anchor we can get better airflow through the boat. I think that's probably more important than the risk of somebody opening a hatch while you're at sea and getting water spooshing in there over the bow. Not only that, but I got a pretty tall bow here, so it's not going to be that easy to have waves splashing up over the deck. As you can see, that's a lot of boat up there. But I did one other thing too. Last night I measured the boat from the front of the stem to the back of the transom here. I had never measured it before. I had thought about doing that and never done it. So I went all the way, stretched along 100-foot tape between there, and I got 48 feet 1.5 inches. And if I let the tape actually lay on the deck, because the deck is, you know, forward and aft is curved a little bit, it's a little bit longer. I got 48 feet 2.5 inches. So if you actually, you know, from end to end measured it, it's 48 feet 1.5 inches, which is right ballpark with what George indicated. He had a bunch of different measurements on different documents on the 48. Sometimes he called it exactly 48 feet. One time he called it 47 feet 11 5/16. Another time I saw him calling it 48 feet 2 inches. So I don't know where his discrepancies came in there. Maybe it was scantlings were a little different between the wood version and the steel version. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, we're right on track, you know, ballpark with where we should be for the length of the boat. So that all worked out all right. The next job I'm thinking is going to be to get the openings cut into the boat for the hatches up here, for the deck hatches. And we got 2 of them up here and one more back here. And then we'll have to do a little framing around that lazarette hatch back there. This one will be inside the pilot house, so we won't have to worry about that. Or this one also, but I want to get those hatches established, and I think I'm going to do what I talked about doing. Probably cut a piece of plywood out, lay it on the deck, and epoxy it down so we got a flat surface that we can cut that opening out in, and yeah, not have to worry about trying to level the, you know, get the camber out of the deck some other way. Just put a piece of plywood up there and then fill in around the gaps on the edges where that camber is. So yeah, that's the plan. They're calling for some colder weather this week, so yeah, I may not get as much done with the epoxy work because of the cold. Might hold off on starting with the heavier epoxy work until the nights at least are a little bit warmer again. But so yeah, at some point we need to get started epoxying things and yeah, sides of the boat, get all these seams and screw holes and stuff done. And of course there's going to be a lot of sanding involved with that too. And I don't think Archie's going to be able to help with the sanding. Are you, Arch? Maybe put some sandpaper in your tail and you could, yeah, what do you think? Probably not. Okay, anyway, I will leave it at that. Just a little midweek update. All right, so today is Tuesday, so it's a real late week. Oh, Glenn, do you have to be so noisy? Is that necessary? Noisiest cat I've ever seen. Yeah, it's cold. We got a little snow. There's a dog out there, another cat, a couple cats in here trying to stay warm. It's 5 degrees out. It's supposed to be like 12 below tonight again. So yeah, the winter's not over yet. Didn't really figure it would be either, but yeah. More snow in the forecast too, so yeah, we can't complain. Anyway, I wanted to do a little update here to show you what I was doing before I actually started doing these on the boat. These are 2x2 pieces of exterior rated plywood, and what I did was I cut the corners off these, rounded them off a little bit, just used a little can to mark the corners, cut them off the jigsaw, sanded them a little bit, ran the round over a bit on the router over these just to smooth them a little bit, and then I laid the frame for the hatch on here, got it positioned, you know, measured from the edges and got it centered in here, got a line drawn on there, and then I went in the back side here and I measured and found the center of these 2x2 foot, just slightly less than 2x2 pieces of 3/4 inch plywood. Then I drilled a hole through there, so I had to have a center hole. Now what I've done up on the boat is I've also got center holes drilled through the deck, so I'll probably just stick a nail through this and then into that hole that goes through the deck to get these things in the proper position, because I had to measure, of course, from the inside between the deck beams and whatnot to get the hatches in the positions where I wanted them up on the deck. So the debate now is whether I should put this frame on the plywood and then maybe run some screws in it to try to keep it perfectly, you know, to pull the plywood perfectly flat up against here. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be necessary or not. See, there is a little bit of, yeah, I don't know about that. Which one is off? The plywood or the frame? Looks like this plywood is maybe twisted just a little bit. This piece of plywood here, it's got maybe just a little bit of twist in it. So maybe I should run some screws through here just to kind of keep the plywood held in place. Of course, that's going to mean I can only glue one of these in at a time, but yeah, so be it. And I think maybe they aren't all exactly the same. Yeah, should have marked these maybe. Live and learn, right? This aluminum is so slick on this wood too. It's hard to keep them in position. what I was doing earlier when I was marking these out is that get a piece of plywood over there and then put some weight on it to kind of help hold it in place. And I suspect that's what we'll have to do in here. Now, the reason I'm doing it this way is obviously we want to keep everything has to stay flat. When we put this up on the deck, we don't want this plywood twisting any. So what that means is I'm going to glue this whole sheet of plywood on there, then I'll have to cut through the whole thing through this piece of 3/4 inch plywood and the 1.5 inch of deck to get the actual opening in there, which is I don't think it's going to be that big a deal. Yeah, it's 2¼ inches of plywood, but I think we can knock that out with the jigsaw, and it's really not super critical, you know, that cut, because we've got, you know, almost 1 inch here of flange that's going to lay on top of the opening there, so it can have a little bit of fudge room. It's not super critical, and it's going to be, for the most part, hidden or covered up. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some screws in here to hold this this plate onto the plywood and try to keep the plywood, you know, as level as possible, and then we'll go up and glue it in place. So anyway, that's what we're doing. Hello, welcome to the Boat Shop. Today is the 12th of February of 2024, and I've started putting these what do you call them, mounting platforms, a plinth for the deck hatches. And yesterday I showed you in a little video clip that I'd worked up these, and let's take this with us. And I got one glued in place yesterday, so let's go up and take a look at it. And let's go, Trouble. Come on. Let's go take a look at it and see how it did. Oh, I should have put my knee pads on. Okay, so there you can see it. I did indeed screw the frame onto here just to try to keep everything as you know, flat and level as possible. And you can see it didn't take just a whole lot of filler material to bring that up to level. And I didn't need to do everything because obviously the inside gets cut out. So I just did like a 4-inch strip around there, and we'll see how that turned out once we cut that out from in there. But yeah, so far I'd say it looks all right. You can see the nail there in the center. That's what I used to locate it. And yeah, it's not perfectly square. I tried lining it up with this line here, but when I got the glue and stuff on there, I must not have been able to see this line real well. So it's not perfect, but yeah, so be it. Nothing is on the boat. So anyway, I'm going to pull the screws out and get that taken down so we can get the next one ready. Okay, so we got the frame back down here. We got it lined up on the next piece of plywood here. Got a little weight on there to hold it in place. I'll get some screws in here, and then we'll get this one glued up on here next. And then tomorrow we'll get the last one done. So yeah, we're certainly making progress on this end of things. Yeah, it's been snowing. I got a little water dripping in there. It looks like that exhaust pipe maybe got some moisture in it. Yeah, it's snowing again today. Not a lot. They're talking 2 inches today and maybe another inch tonight. So yeah, still wintertime. All right, I don't really have anything else to report, so I'm going to leave it at that for this week, and I will talk to you again next week.